about Durkheim's theory of division of labor, a very important theory. You can see the previous year papers, they will always ask you the question of, compare the concepts of division of labor of Marx and Durkheim, right? So most of the question paper you can see this comparison. Otherwise this can be asked as a separate question also within Durkheim, but still you need to make the comparison because you need to criticize anyway. And if you need to criticize Durkheim, who is a functionalist, it is always better to use Marx, right? Because he is giving you a conflict perspective. So here, now when it comes to division of labor, if we generally talk about division of labor, who gave this concept? It is given by Adam Smith in his book Wealth of Nation. So it is related to an economic concept, right? But when Durkheim took up this analysis on division of labor, something which was considered as very much economics, which is in the domain of economics, like it talks about profitability, production, productivity, mass production, etc. Now when Durkheim took up the analysis, it became sociological. So what I'm saying is, we have discussed this n number of time in the thinkers discussion itself. If you see this scope of sociology, etc., you can add all these, or the comparison with subject. If you see a comparison with sociology and economy, you can directly write from here also division of labor, something which is essentially part of economy. Now after Durkheimian understanding, or Durkheim took up the study, it became part of sociology. Otherwise, can you even imagine that division of labor is sociological? Okay, so he is actually trying to identify the social dimension of division of labor, and you will see that how beautifully he is doing that. And when it comes to Marx also, we are understanding in the same way what is the, you can make the connection between economy and sociology. Okay, so there are many such things that you can actually pick from the thinker rather than preparing separate answer, and mugging up that answer for that particular topic. It's not worth preparing that topic separately, like sociology, anthropology, sociology, psychology, sociology, economy. It's not worth separately preparation. Separate preparation is not required. Once you know thinkers, and if you are very strong in thinkers, I'm saying if you are very strong in thinkers, and for that your teacher need to be strong in thinker, right? So thinkers is my strong area. So I'm sure that once you attend these classes, you might have already realized that from Marx itself, right? Marx, and we have started off with Durkheim, you might have already realized that. So I can pass it on to you. So obviously you will be in a position to write all those answers, not only this topic, you can write better in case of positivism, non-positivism. Rather than studying that in the beginning, it will be much better and you will get much more clarity once we're done with the thinkers. I've discussed this many times when we discuss about Marx, I've told you, and in Weber also I've told you. In Durkheim is a positivist, Weber is a non-positivist. So these people we are discussing in detail. Okay, so let's move on to the theory division of labor. So you can see here a few questions. Organic and mechanical solidarity. You can keep these questions in mind before I take up the discussion. What is division of labor? Discuss Durkheim's concept of division of labor. What according to Durkheim is the relationship between individual and society? Discuss in the light of his theory division of labor. Compare the understanding of Marx and Durkheim with respect to division of labor. That is another question. Individual, while becoming more autonomous, come to depend more heavily on society. Discuss a statement in the light of Durkheim's theory of division of labor. So these are the previous year questions, and these are the questions which can be asked directly. They will ask you a question: organic, mechanic, solidarity, etc. So let's go to the discussion of division of labor. See, Durkheim actually start this theory by raising a question. The modern society is very much heterogenetic, right? Heterogeneous, very much complex. People are so much individualistic, right? People are not that, there is no tendency of integration. People are highly individualistic, and the society is totally complex. It is so heterogeneous. Different people have different characteristics and their goals are different. Okay, so but still there is an integration in society. People are interdependent. For what reason? So Durkheim identifies, or Durkheim was able to conclude that there are some social state, or there are some social properties, or there are some social variables which are present in society that binds the individual together. And his attempt towards understanding that particular social fact, or that particular social variable which binds the individual together, is what you can see in the theory of division of labor. He finally claimed that it is nothing but the division of labor which integrate people, which creates that interdependence in society, and because of division of labor only people are together. See, I am teaching sociology, and that's the reason why we are meeting every day, right? So at least few of you are following me regularly. So why? Because we are interdependent. I am depending on you, and you are also dependent depending on me. Otherwise, we will not, even talk, or we will not even meet, or we will not see, right? So there is an interdependence which is created because of division of labor. So whenever you see any theory of Durkheim, there will be 4 parts, and you need to address this theory in 4 parts. First of all, he will define. There will be a definitional part. Okay, so you need to define what is this concept of division of labor. So that will be very simple, and then he will go for his concept is causal functional explanation. So first explain the cause of that phenomena, that social fact, and then explain the function. Don't mix cause and function, because cause and function may be different. It came into existence because of one reason, and the function that it provides may be different. If you mix this cause and function, there may be a problem of illegitimate teleology. So to avoid this illegitimate teleology, he is always stressing or emphasizing on separation of cause and function. Don't mix the cause and function. Okay, so cause may be something and function may be something. For example, division of labor, the cause why division of labor came may be different, and the function is different. So that's why he is separating this cause and function, and he is giving a causal functional analysis. So first part will be identifying the cause, second part will be talking about the function. Both are, or both may not be the same. It is not necessarily the same. It can be same also, but it is not necessarily the same always. So here also you can understand that. So he will first talk about cause after definition, then he will give the function of division of labor, and then he will also talk about, if you remember in the previous session I've told you, when we discussed about rules of studying social fact, rules of observation, rules of classification, rules of distinction, the third, in that I've told you he always separate the normal and pathological situation, normal and abnormal form. So there is and I've told you rules of distinction is the most important pillar of Durkheim's methodology, right? So there will be a separation of normal and pathological forms. So here he will separate that. Okay, so there will be a discussion on pathological form. Okay, so the abnormal situation. So this 4 dimensions is what you need to see in Durkheim's any theory. If you talk about religion, he will define religion, he will talk about cause, he will talk about function, and then there will be pathological form. If you see suicide, there will be definition, then there will be causal explanation. Function is not talking when it comes to suicide, and there will be a pathological form. So this is how these theories are structured, and you should be replicating the same format when you are writing your answer. First you need to define after the introduction. Okay, so you know what to write in introduction. We have enough content I've already given you in the previous session. Then you will talk about the definition, then you will talk about the function or the cause and function, and then abnormalities, and then criticisms. Okay, so let's define division of labor. It is very simple. Division of labor means what? It is splitting up of an activity into number of parts and will be undertaken by one or more people, right? For example, a table is if you need to construct a table, it will be splitting into number of parts. One person will cut the tree, one person will cut the tree further into pieces, and then final assembling will be done by a carpenter, like that. This is what you mean by division of labor. Splitting up of activities into number of parts. Okay, and each parts will be undertaken by different people. So one task will be undertaken by different people. In economy, it will be understood as, basically to improve productivity or to production, and thereby to maximizing the profit. But when it comes to sociology, you will see an entirely different understanding today. Okay, so that's about the definition. So definition is done. Now when we talk about the cause, to explain the cause, he construct the idea of a primitive society. So from a primitive society, he basically explained the cause of, this division of labor. So he construct a primitive society, and his conception of primitive society is like people are very less. That means the population is very less. People are alike. Everybody is same. Everybody is performing the similar kind of occupation, and people live in bands. And people don't have access to different bands. Like people are here and people are here. Okay, so there is no connection between these bands. Similarly, there are different bands. People live in bands, and within band there is interaction, but between bands there is no connection. So the concept is actually based on, people live in different segments or bands. So his conception of society was segmentary. The primitive society was segmentary. People don't have interaction between the different segments or different bands. Okay, so this society is based on norms and values. Norms and values integrate people here, and the laws here are repressive. If you violate the rules, you will be punished so heavily and repressive laws are there, and because of this nature of repressive law, people bound to, or people always follow the rules and regulations. So there will be a solidarity in this society which is ensured mechanically. So this solidarity is known as mechanical solidarity, because the laws are repressive, conformity to the norms and values are very high, conformity to the collective conscience is very high, super high in the society, because it is enforced through the strict punishments and sanctions. Okay, so collective consciousness is considered very important over the individual will. So the solidarity in this society is called as mechanical solidarity. If you remember, the first question that we have seen was mechanical and organic solidarity. I'll tell you what is organic solidarity. Now understand mechanical solidarity. There is a solidarity which is mechanically enforced through repressive laws. You have to follow the norms and values of society. You have to follow the collectivity, etc. So people are together, mechanic solidarity. So I'm talking about primitive society in terms of mechanic solidarity or mechanical solidarity. Okay, mechanical solidarity. So he developed the concept of primitive society, which is based on mechanical solidarity. People live in bands, people are alike, they perform the similar occupation, no interaction between bands. With time, what will happen? Population will increase. So when population increase, what will happen? Interaction will increase. Durkheim says population increases, volume increased. Okay, so let's suppose this area, when population if this much only, okay, and then volume was increasing. For example, if if I'm taking class, there may be 2-3 students only, and 2-3 boys are there. So I can take the class in any way, I can explain anything in any way, I can crack any jokes. Okay, there is no problem. But with time, what will happen? If more and more students are added, more and more ladies students are also added, more students are there, I cannot freely do that. So what will happen? I have to follow certain norms and values in the class, right? But initially that was not required. That means when number was very less, norms and values were very less. But when the number is increasing, the interactions between people increase. So you need more norms and values, more rules, etc. So you can see the laws, etc. are emerging over a period of time. When population increases, there is a need for new rules and new regulations, new norms, new values, etc. is required. Okay, so when population increased, the norms and values will increase. Why? Because interaction between people are more, and interaction is mediated through certain norms and values. Okay, so when we are interacting in a class, how a student behave to the teacher and how a teacher behave to the students, everything is decided and defined, right, through norms and values. So what I'm saying is, when population increase, interaction increase, so norms and values increase, and norms and values, a set of norms and values is what he understand as morals. Okay, morals or morality, etc. what you can say. Okay, so what he says is, at this point of time, moral density increases. So increase in moral density means what? Increase in norms and values. Increase in norms and values means what? Increase in interaction. When this increase in interaction will happen? When there is a population increase. So population increase will ultimately lead to increase in moral density. Okay, so population increase he terms as volume increased. Volume increase, the material density increase. That means the moral density also will increase. Moral density means interaction. So interaction is actually what? Moral density. More the interaction, more the norms and values. More the norms and values will be understood as moral density increase. Okay, so that lead to higher moral density. Now also, when society develops, people also have access to activities performed in other bands. Now there will be connection between different bands also. Earlier within bands only interaction, now there is a connection between different bands. Okay, so when there is connection between different bands, there is an access to activities performed in different bands. Okay, so for example, there is a doctor here. Okay, there is another doctor here. So this doctor is considered as a better doctor. So earlier population in this segment A have only access to this doctor. Now these people have access to this doctor also. So in case of any disease, what do you think? Where these population will go? When they have access, they will go to the next doctor, right? He is better, he is considered as better. Okay, so if they didn't have any access, they won't do that. For example, when you talk about this class itself, I am sitting in Kerala and I am delivering the lecture from Kerala. Now you have access to attend these classes, right? So you have access to activities performed in Kerala. Otherwise, In Kerala, only I am taking regular classes in my institution, so there were no access for all of you. So you were not able to attend. Now you have many choices. You have access to activities performed in Kerala, Tamil Nadu, everywhere, and you prefer to attend my class. I'm not talking about all of you. I'm talking about few of the students who's regularly following my class. I know them, and I am getting messages every time, and we are in touch also. So I'm talking about those people. When there is an access to activities performed, then there will be a competition, right? So the problem is, now what will happen in this situation? This person will struggle for survival, right? See, in this context, there will be a struggle for existence in the present occupation for this person. Okay, that means you might have attended coaching classes somewhere else, and now you are attending the class with me. Why? Because you have access to activities performed in some other bands. So now you can choose the better one, and you might be seeing that this is a better class. And I promise you, I can tell you that if you have already attended some sociology classes, you will find it much better. And if you have not attended anywhere else, it will be better for you that when you're attending it for the first time, you are actually getting the conceptual clarity. Okay, so this person now feel there will be a struggle for existence. Okay, so when there is a situation of struggle for existence, what is the logical conclusion? The logical conclusion is the fittest will survive. So who will survive here? This person will survive. So what he have to do? He have no other option but to do something else, or he have to create some specialization. So he create specialization. Okay, so he may go for specialization in heart or ophthalmology, eyes or skin or teeth, or any specialization he will take, because otherwise he cannot survive. So there is a struggle for existence, and the fittest only will survive. So he will definitely survive. Okay, next time some better doctor is coming, he will also face a problem, and he also have to go for specialization. Okay, so he will go for specialization now. That lead to occupational specialization, and that's what division of labor. So he explained division of labor just like this. So he took the concept of primitive society where people live in bands, population are alike, everybody is doing the same occupation. Society concept is segmentary, mechanical solidarity, laws are repressive, all these concepts. And then with time, population increases, volume increases, material and moral density increases, people have access to activities performed in other bands that lead to struggle for existence in the present occupation. And the logical conclusion of that is the fittest will survive and the unfit will create specialization that lead to occupational specialization, and that's actually the cause of division of labor. Simple, that's it. This is a conceptual clarity that you need to have for any theory of thinkers, and this should be the way you need to explain in your paper also. And you can use your own language, there is no problem. What I can do is I can show you whatever I have discussed now in a block diagram. Even if you don't remember anything that I have discussed, just remember this block diagram. That in itself is going to help you to get the mark, or will be able to write the answer. And this has to be there in your paper, and even when you're writing the test series also, you have to incorporate this. Okay, so I'll show you the block diagram. You can make diagrams in sociology like this. Okay, first of all, this is how you can actually create the diagrams. Whatever concepts you can put it in blocks, and you can make the connection, and you can establish that connection. And what we are saying sociology is a scientific discipline, so obviously you can represent through diagram, and you need to represent in diagrams. Okay, so first of all, he conceptualized a primitive society. Okay, primitive society is based on, we have already discussed mechanical solidarity. Okay, and which is segmentary in nature. With time, what will happen? The population increase, right? So when population increase, what will happen with interaction? Interaction increase. So material and moral density increase. So that should be your second block. So you can explain this. And what should be the third paragraph? Now people have access to activities performed in other bands. So people have access to activities performed in other bands that lead to what? Struggle for existence in the present occupation. So struggle for existence. So when there is a struggle for existence, what will happen? The logical conclusion will be, you can say like this: the fittest survive. The fittest survive, and the unfit create new specialization. Unfit create new specialization, and this lead to what? Occupational occupational specialization. Okay, this is actually the cause of division of labor. So in simple block diagram, I can explain entire concept of division of labor. Primitive society, which is based on mechanical solidarity, segmentary in nature. With time, population increases, interaction increases, material and moral density increases. Now people have access to activities performed in other bands. You sitting in some other state and attending my classes, I'm delivering from Kerala, in Trivandrum specifically, right? So you're attending my classes, sitting somewhere. So you have access to activities. Now what will happen? There will be struggle for existence with all sociology teachers, and you choose the best one among that. Okay, so the fittest will survive. So those who are offering the better classes and those who are doing the more work than the students, they will survive, right? And struggle for existence, fittest will survive. Others have to create specialization, like the other teacher have to focus on, test series or, some specific modules within sociology, like paper 2, like that. Okay, and then that lead to occupational specialization. That's what division of labor. So I hope you understood, and I promise you, if you're not able to understand with this diagram, or if you're not able to understand it here, you will never understand it, and you will ever understand it, or not from any other teachers, not from any other textbook also. Okay, so there's the best way you can explain the concept of division of labor, and I'm expecting that it should be printed in your head and you can directly write the answer now in your words if you can remember this diagram. Okay, so now see, one more thing I want to tell you is, if you want to write test series, or if you need to write or attend the answer writing program, anything, if you need to have a formal test series and a formal answer writing sessions with me, you can get in touch with me here. Or if you missed any of my videos in sociology, this is my Instagram ID, Zia Safir. You can get in touch with me here. This is my Telegram, this is my Instagram ID, this is my Telegram channel, this is my Facebook ID also. Or Zia IAS is my Facebook page. Okay, and I give you my contact number if you genuinely want to write a test series with me, if you want your papers to be getting, get it evaluated by myself, and we'll have a personal discussion, one-to-one discussion after each test. So you can contact me. This is my number, 98955 77775 or 9790 892 697. So in any of this, you can WhatsApp, Telegram, or in any of the social media, you can get in touch with me, not only for sociology but for GS also. You can see all GS videos which I've already done. History is done, economy is done, ethics is done, quantitative aptitude is done. What more? All videos or everything which is required for civil service is already there in this Telegram channel. Just join the Telegram channel, you get everything there. All the notifications related to the test and answer writing programs, classes. I have regular classes, live classes. YouTube, I may not be able to cover all the videos, but live classes, everything is there. Okay, so that's about the course. I hope you understood the course. Now, what is the next part? I've told you we have done with the definition, we have done with the course, and now we need to talk about the function. See, the function is very simple. In this heterogeneous society, in this complex society, which force binds the individual together? It is nothing but the division of labor, according to Durkheim. See, the society is so individualistic, so complex, so heterogeneous. Laws are reformative and restitutive, okay, not repressive. And people's conformity to norms and values is very less. People are not interested to follow the norms and values. People have, their own rules and their own, preferences. Okay, so people conformity to norms and values in the modern society is very less. Okay, so in this society, which force binds the individual together? It is division of labor, because you are interdependent. You are depending on me for sociology, so we are together. Otherwise, we won't meet. We will not have any interaction. You are somewhere and I'm somewhere, so there is no possibility that we will meet, right? It is because of division of labor that we are connected. So there is an interdependence. We both are dependent. There is a dependence, right? That interdependence is because of division of labor. See, simple terms, we seek in others what we lack in ourselves, right? We seek in others what we lack in ourselves, and associations are formed wherever there is a true exchange of services. So there is a true exchange of service here, and you seek in something, and which you lack, right? You don't know sociology, or you may be knowing, you may not have the clarity. Okay, so still you are looking for some options. So you seek in others what we lack in ourselves, and associations are formed wherever there is a true exchange of service. That's what the better sentence I can say for explaining the function of division of labor. Or I can also tell you, while we like those who resemble us, we like those people who are similar to us, but at the same time we are also drawn towards others precisely because they are different, because they have something different to offer. Okay, you may like your teacher, your actual teacher of sociology you may like, but still you are also drawn towards me precisely because I am different and I am offering you something different. Yes, it is true. Okay, so I hope you understood what I mean to say. With that, I can explain the function of division of labor. It is that interdependence which is created by the division of labor. So the integration in the modern society is because of division of labor, and this integration is through interdependence. It's like organs in the body, we all are connected. So this is what we call as organic solidarity. So mechanical solidarity and organic solidarity. That question is done. It is very simple. In modern society, organic solidarity; traditional society, mechanical solidarity. Again, I can show you in a diagram. Simple, right? I can take time here, and what will happen with mechanical solidarity? If this is mechanical solidarity, it will come down. What will happen with organic solidarity? It will go up. This is organic solidarity. So this is how you can make diagrams in sociology. You may think that how can I make the diagram and why should I make the diagram? You have enough scope to make diagrams. Sociology is a scientific discipline. Only thing is that you need a good teacher or a mentor. That's it. Okay, so, and it is very scoring also. And if you have chosen sociology, you have done the right thing, because it is going to help you a lot in your GS and ethics also, even in your essay also, and in your interview also, and for your personality also overall. Okay, so that's about organic and mechanical solidarity. So that's about the function. Second function is, see, when we talk about division of labor, you are going to specialize, and which field you are going to specialize, who will decide? You will decide. So actually division of labor is doing yet another function of granting the individual the much required autonomy to produce. So because of division of labor, you are getting, now if you need to specialize on eyes or skin as a doctor, it is up to you, it is your choice. So division of labor is actually giving you the much required freedom to produce. So it is giving you the much required autonomy to produce. You can choose the field in which you are going to, right? So what Marx said? Marx said the division of labor is alienating. What Durkheim is saying? Durkheim is saying exactly the opposite. This is a comparison that you need to make. Marx, we don't have theory of division of labor directly, but we have talked about division of labor. Where? In which theory? Alienation. You have to make that connection. And this is where you need to have the conceptual clarity. You will get the comparison between Marx and Durkheim. And most of the students, you know what they do? They simply write about Durkheim's theory of division of labor, as you know. And you leave that Marxian part and the comparison. You get 0 mark, because the question is about comparison. Without writing any single comparison, you are not going to get any mark for that particular question. And from where you make the comparison? Alienation. Marx said division of labor is alienating. What Durkheim is saying? Division of labor is giving you the much required freedom to produce. You are getting that freedom. So I hope you got that point. This is a thread, and from here you need to develop. You can, on one side you can develop on a functional perspective, on the other side you can develop it on a conflict perspective, but the thread is from here. On one side it is alienating, on the other side it is giving the much required freedom to produce. So I hope you understood. So these are the functions of division of labor. Now what is we have done with definition, we have done with the cause, we have done with the function. Now what we need to do? We need to talk about the abnormal form, right? There are 3 abnormal forms that Durkheim talking about. The 3 abnormal forms are anomie division of labor. So the first one, anomie division of labor. Second one, forced division of labor. And third one, inadequate organization. Inadequate organization. See, anomie division of labor means, what is anomie? Anomie is a state of normlessness. You are not following any rules, norms, values, etc. So that create a bad situation. So anomie division of labor is a pathological situation. Unnecessary advertisements, misleading advertisements, etc. Then forced division of labor, you may not be able to, you may not be interested in going for a doctor or becoming a doctor, but your parents will force you to do it. So you cannot justify over there, right? So you cannot do the work properly. That is what forced division of labor. Inadequate organization, if the work is not properly organized, inadequate organization. So like that, 3 concept of pathological situation he explained. But what according to Durkheim is, these are temporary in nature. This anomie situations are temporary. And how can you solve this? Within the mode of production, you can bring some moral codes, ethical codes, etc. and you can solve the problem. and you can bring back to equilibrium. This is what Durkheim's concept of communism. So you get a question, compare Durkheim and Marx in terms of their concept of communism. So you may think that Marx, we talked about communism, where Durkheim talking about communism. Communism is about solution to the problem. So Marxian solution to the problem, that is communism, is a change of the mode of production. The problem is with the entire system, and the problem is permanent. And if you need to solve the problem, you have to overthrow the system, and there should be a revolution, and there should be a true consciousness, and the workers have to unite, and there should be a revolution, and socialism, and then communism. So change of the entire mode of production is what Marx talking about. But when it comes to Durkheim, change in the mode of production, you can repair. It's a temporary situation, but for Marx it is permanent. For Durkheim, within mode of production. For Marx, outside you need to change the mode of production completely, from capitalism to communism. Okay, so I hope you understood their concept of communism also. So we have made a lot of comparison between Marx and Durkheim. I'll tell you in all my lectures whatever possible comparisons that you can make from different theories. So within division of labor itself, I've talked about communism comparison and division of labor comparison. So why I told you need a mentor or a teacher? Because when you talk about comparison between Marx and Durkheim on communism, you may know communism of Marx. Everybody know. Once you're preparing for civil service, everybody know. But I tell you 90% of you don't know about what I've told you now, that Durkheim's concept of communism. I can bet you 90% of you don't know about that. Similarly, when we talk about division of labor, all of you know division of labor of Durkheim because it is directly there in your syllabus. But 90% of you again don't know the division of labor concept of Marx. You may not be able to interpret that alienation is all about division of labor, but we've already done that. This is actually the problem with most of the aspirants. I'm evaluating around 10-15 papers, minimum 10-15 papers, because I'm spending around half an hour at least for evaluating a paper. I myself will evaluate all the papers and we'll have a one-to-one discussion also. I can see this, all these are reflected. Wherever you attend the coaching, it doesn't matter. It may not be the problem with the teacher, it may be the problem with you also. Okay. So I hope you got the clarity with respect to division of labor. Now it's time to move to PDF. See, generally what I do is I explain like this in the class, then I dictate it in the class. If it is actual class, online class, I use the PDF itself, same only, the same method that I'm doing here. So while dictating, I explain everything once again. Between lines, we will make it clear, okay? So here also, I'm going to do the same thing. Whatever topics I take in YouTube, I take it exactly in the same way that I do in my class. There is no differences here, okay? But the problem is I may not be able to cover the entire syllabus. That's it. That's the only problem. And that is not possible because you cannot deliver all the content in YouTube. Obviously, nobody will do that. Okay, so here you can see the questions. So I hope you understood organic and mechanical solidarity now. So what is division of labor? Discuss Durkheim concept of division of labor. You will be in a position to answer. That diagram itself is enough for you. What according to Durkheim is the relationship between individual and society? So individual and society, what is the relation? Individual and society is connected in terms of division of labor, interdependence, and that interdependence is functional, that is organic solidarity. Individual, while becoming more autonomous, comes to depend more heavily on society. What do you mean by individual becoming more autonomous? He is now free to choose his specialization. So he is more autonomous. But when you specialize, you are more depending on society. You are more interconnected. Interdependence is more. That's what the statement all about. You will see all these I have arranged the answer in such a way that you will be able to get all these answers. Okay, but this is a demo or the sample answer. You don't want to write exactly the same thing. You can write from your side. See, I'm telling you, for thinkers, you don't want to read any single textbook. Whatever I'm discussing, the concepts are 100% clear for me, and that's what exactly I'm passing it on to you. It's not arrogance, it's a confidence. It's my confidence, and I'm passing it on to you exactly the same. And with that confidence, you can score so high. I have scored it 170 plus 3 times I've scored in paper 1. 2 times I scored overall 300 plus, and 1 time it was around 260, 270. So 170 plus I was able to score in paper 1 consistently. Paper 1 is in your hand. Nobody can stop you from that. Okay, if you know the concepts, it's done. Paper 2 is dynamic. Okay, so according to Durkheim, society is sui generis, and the individual consciousness is determined by the collective conscience. Collective conscience or conscience collective, both are same. Collective conscience is nothing but reflected in the form of various social facts. We have discussed all this. Thus, Durkheim gives primacy to society over individual. At the same time, the maintenance of social order or the integration of society is the dominant concern in Durkheim's sociology. Yes, Individual is bound to society in various ways and with the intermediation of different social facts. Durkheim's study of division of labor is one such attempt to identify that social states which binds the individual of society. What is that social state? It is nothing but division of labor. So Durkheim observes, in the modern society where heterogeneity, complexity and differentiation is found, what holds the society together? What holds the society together? As we have already discussed, it is nothing but the division of labor. Durkheim found that in primitive society, the actions of an individual are controlled by the norms and values of the society or the collectivity. Individual is bound to behave in accordance with these norms and values. True, right? This binds the individual with society. Yeah. But in modern society, there is a lot of individuality and the control of norms and values are weak over individual. Thus, Durkheim attempt to answer a purely sociological question that is, which force is holding the modern society together? Which force? It is nothing but division of labor. So that is a function of division of labor. Durkheim's study of division of labor is contained in the book Division of Labor in Society, 1983. So what is definition? Division of labor is splitting up of activities into a number of parts or smaller processes undertaken by different persons or group of persons. Very simple definition. In other words, it implies specialization associated with a particular occupation or an activity. Now let's look into the course of division of labor. So he constructs a concept of a primitive society over there. Durkheim examined the course of division of labor by using an evolutionary perspective. So this is very important. When it comes to Marx also, he traced the society by using an evolutionary perspective. Primitive communism to ancient mode of production, to feudal mode of production, to capitalism, to socialism, to communism. So that was a evolutionary perspective. I've told you in the beginning, the initial positivist used evolutionary perspective, which is drawn from Darwin's theory of biological evolution, right? So here also, I've told you from primitive society, you're growing up, right? Mechanical solidarity to organic solidarity. That is nothing but evolutionary perspective. Comparing primitive society with modern society, establishment of cause is one of the most important pillars of Durkheim's methodology. His emphasis on separation of cause and function in order to avoid illegitimate teleology. I've told you mixing cause and function will lead to illegitimate teleologies. To avoid that, separate cause and function. Because cause and function is not necessarily the same in all cases. It can be same, but it is not necessarily in all cases. I've told you in this case, why division of labor came into existence? It is because of the struggle for existence in the present occupation. But what is the function of division of labor in the modern society? It is an integration, interdependence, which is functional. And it also giving much required autonomy to produce. These are the functions. But why it came into existence, the cause is different. Causes, struggle for existence lead to occupational specialization. The function of occupational specialization is interdependence. So both are different. So if you are saying both are same, for interdependence only occupational specialization came into existence. If you are saying that's what illegitimate teleology, that itself can be a short note. Durkheim develops a dichotomy of primitive and modern society, and by using an evolutionary perspective, he goes on to establish the cause. Okay, according to him, primitive societies are based on mechanical solidarity. People perform similar occupation and are alike. Population is less, and the interaction between people are within particular segment. His conception of primitive society is segmentary, where people live in bands with less interaction between different bands. The laws in such society are repressive and people conformity to collective conscience, which is very strong. People's conformity, you can write like that. With time, population within segment increases, which Durkheim referred to as increase in volume. And this result into increased interaction between people. So between us, more and more people are coming, there will be, more norms and values, etc. As number of interaction increase, the moral density increase. Moral density means more norms and values, etc. Right? So why it happening? Because of more interaction. Why more interaction? Because of population. According to Durkheim, increase in number of moral values is the representation of increase in interaction between people. Okay, that sentence is making it everything clear. Thus he conclude, as volume of population increases, the moral density increases. Population increases, interaction increases, moral density increases. Correct. This results in people having access to activities performed in different segments. Now you have connection with everybody. Now you have connection with me. I'm sitting in Kerala because of the Zoom classes, right? Not Zoom, what is this? YouTube classes. Okay, so this initiated the process of struggle for existence in the present occupation, as increased material density and moral density leads to competition. The logical result of this situation, according to Durkheim, is the fittest survive in the present occupation and the unfit will create new specialization. This result in ever increasing occupational specialization and thus ever increasing division of labor. This is ever increasing division of labor. So you can see here, this diagram I've already given you. Primitive society, this is enough, right? Whatever I've discussed here, that I can explain by using this diagram, which is based on mechanical solidarity and it is segmentary in nature. With time, population increase, interaction increase in material and moral density. So people have access to activities performed in other bands. Struggle for existence in the present occupation. The logical conclusion, fittest will survive, unfit creates specialization. That lead to occupational specialization, that lead to division of labor. Now, function of division of labor. For delineating the function of division of labor, Durkheim developed a concept of modern society, which is characterized by large population, high moral density, and is very complex. The collective conscience is low because of high material density. These societies are secular in nature, and the supreme value is attached to the individual. Individual is supreme. The types of laws are reformative or restitutive. In these societies, division of labor is very high and is manifested in terms of degree of occupational specialization, high degree of occupational specialization. In such societies, people are highly interdependent upon each other and the interdependence is functional. According to Durkheim, it is a division of labor which induces functional interdependence and is responsible for organic character of society, right? So this is a function. It is this division of labor which induces functional interdependence and is responsible for why we are organically connected. We are connected, right? We are organically connected. Why? Because we are interdependent. I depend on you because if you don't watch, I cannot survive. Similarly, you are depending on me. If you cannot get sociology classes, you cannot pass the exam. Thus, modern society is based on organic solidarity, which is due to the high division of labor. Further, Durkheim validates his functional explanation in terms of similarity and differences. I've told you this in his words, while we like those who resemble us, we are also drawn towards others precisely because they are different. Okay, in other words, we seek in others what we lack in ourselves, and associations are formed wherever there is a true exchange of service or wherever there is a division of labor. According to Durkheim, modern society is based on mass production. As the needs increase, further specialization is required. In order to undertake specialization, a degree of individual autonomy is required. That is, an individual must be free to create, right? Thus, division of labor fulfills yet another function. This is the second function, yet another function of granting the individual much required autonomy to undertake specialization. So this is the second function. This is where you need to compare it with Marx. Marx says what? Division of labor is leading to alienation. What Durkheim says, it gives the much required freedom for the individual to produce. That means he can express creativity. For Durkheim, division of labor is giving individual opportunity to express creativity. He can choose in which field he need to go. He can explore that field. He can choose that. He can express his creativity. But Marx says his creativity is hindered because of division of labor. Both are contradictory because both use different methods and perspectives. An individual, while becoming more autonomous, comes to depend more heavily on society. If you remember, this was the question, right? So this statement, I can fit it here. Thus, according to Durkheim, division of labor is a social phenomena and rejected the classical and neoclassical explanations of division of labor. Earlier, the term division of labor is coined by Adam Smith in his book Wealth of Nations. According to this perspective, division of labor fulfills the function of maximization of production by increasing productivity and thereby maximizing profitability. These schools understood industrialization or increase in occupational specialization in the context of the need for mass production. Durkheim claims that division of labor is social, as it is not only confined to occupation but permeates through each and every aspect of social life. Moreover, division of labor is present since ancient times, and what has changed is only the degree. Okay, thus he concludes that it is a social fact which comes into existence in its own, and it is sui generis. Okay, and it is having its own life. So division of labor is a social fact which comes into existence with the autonomous development of society. and it is sui generis. Finally, he claims that the function of division of labor is not purely economic, but it is social. Further, Durkheim also identifies the abnormal forms. I have already told you that abnormal forms. These are the abnormal forms. Although division of labor is a normal phenomena, but it may become abnormal in certain situations. The study of abnormal forms can be useful for identifying the conditions supportive for normal states. There are three types of abnormalities: anomy division of labor, inadequate organization, and forced division of labor. Anomy division of labor. Anomy is a state of normlessness. That is, an abnormal form in which widespread disobeying of norms happen. Under anomy state, division of labor becomes dysfunctional as it leads to unhealthy competition. Okay. Similarly, inadequate organization, if the work is not properly organized, it may lead to conflict and tension at the workplace. Okay. These are self-explanatory. Forced division of labor, to produce solidarity, it is not sufficient that each individual has its own specialized task. It is still necessary that this task should be appropriate to him. See, I am just coming for teaching. It should be appropriate to me. Otherwise, it won't create integration, right? If I teach something, if I teach some junk things, then there is no integration or interaction, no interdependence, right? It is because it is appropriate to me and also to you. And I can do something for you. I can make a difference. So that's why this interdependence is there. That's why this solidarity is there. Okay. The forced division of labor is thus the consequence of that structural conditions in which the distribution of social functions does not correspond to distribution of talent. It produces stress and tensions. For example, Indian caste system. Okay. It is based on occupational specialization. Okay, hereditary occupation. That is not necessarily the talent of the person. The study of abnormal form culminated into Durkheim's conception of socialism. According to him, the socialism can be based on maintenance of division of labor in the normal state by a number of occupational associations which will implement an ethical code corresponding to their occupation. This will prevent anomy state and help in organizing the work and prevent the forced division of labor. So these problems are temporary and it can be solved within the existing mode of production. No need to change the mode of production, unlike what Marx says. So the problem or the solution is within. Okay, Marx says change the entire mode of production through revolution. So I hope this is clear. I hope you can make a better comparison between Marx and Durkheim. Otherwise also you can write this theory, you can critically examine, every point is there. And this diagram, this is what I've told you, this is time. If still you have any doubts, you can feel free to get in touch with me. That's my Instagram ID, Zia Safir, okay, or Zia IAS. You can see my Facebook page, or Zia Safir. This is my Facebook ID, Instagram ID, Telegram channel. You join the Telegram channel. Please join the Telegram channel. You'll get everything over there, all the notifications. If you need to write answer writing, or if you need to have the answer writing programs, sessions, or the test series, you can get in touch with me. I've already given you the number. This is my number, 9790-892-697. So see you guys. Thank you. Hello students.